Is Film District's logo based on the scene in Attack of the Clones when Anakin and Obi-Wan were being chased through Coruscant? Look at our strong, virile president who punches like a man.
Weather's getting worse out there, but we're advised it's drivable.
Are you fucking kidding me? In what world is the weather they've shown drivable? They would actually risk the president's life in this kind of storm? And this is all for some re-election appearance?
Sit by the fire, watch Breaking Bad. Fine by me.
Forbes is going to lose his shit when he sees General Clegg helping Walter White hide from the DEA. The Camp David entrance sign is not over the road, it's on the side of the road. Did they not have Google in 2013?
How long does it take to get to the Piak?
4 minutes.
Security cameras? How many of audio?
Only the ones in the common areas.
Not bad.
Kid's got it, huh?
What exactly does he have? The ability to remember 4 things?
We're gonna make a Secret Service agent out of you yet.
First, they needed to school the kid in the finer points of drug use and hiring prostitutes, which is what the Secret Service is basically known for nowadays.
Gosh, it's really coming down.
The First Lady doesn't have enough sense to wear a coat or any warm clothes during a f***ing blizzard.
My grandfather's watch. How did you find this?
Just have my ways.
The First Lady is a grave robber. How are these guys able to run on this bridge that I believe is made of ice based on how brittle the barriers seem to be? It would seem like the soles of their shoes have better traction than the tires on the president's motorcade. No! Well, this is making me seasick for no reason. I bet they started filming, the director said to the cameraman, "No, the other way, let's cut and do it again." And the camera guy responded, "No, I got this!" The TV in their kitchen is conveniently showing something that pertains to the events that later occur in the movie.
We should take that holiday that we've been talking about.
I wonder if this man will encounter a very intense crisis before he ever gets to take that vacation with his beautiful wife. Action movies featuring presidents are always very, very careful not to indicate their political parties.
Some people do take holidays, you know.
In case you missed the part where his wife begs him to go on vacation, here's another bit of dialogue to let you know he's a workaholic. Also, this is twice now they've said holidays. They mean vacations, right? I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
How's Connor?
President's son, this is his mom.
And we didn't do a good enough job telling you the president's son's name is Connor, or else that awkward response wouldn't exist.
Hey, Jacobs. Thanks.
Stopping someone just before they leave, pausing for an almost uncomfortable amount of time, and saying thanks cliche. Grief is complicated, but isn't this photo from the night she died? That's dark, man.
Maggie! I'll take care of her! No, Mike!
He's flashing back to the tragedy that happened 10 minutes ago. And of course, the hero's wife works at a hospital. Those are some crudely photoshopped photos of the president's family. I'm pretty sure President Asher faked his family vacations like President Nixon faked the moon landing.
I hate Camp David. Do we really have to go?
This is where his mother died. No, he does not have to f***ing go. Why even bring it up?
I got 3 minutes. Let's run down to the kitchen and get some ice cream.
3 minutes to get ice cream? Even if they could get to the kitchen in enough time to eat the ice cream, they would get a colossal brain freeze if there was any hope they could make it back in time. They had to put this text in the corner because there was no way for them to integrate him being the vice president into the dialogue. You might be thinking to yourself, couldn't President Asher say something like, "What do you think, Mr. Vice President?" But surprisingly, no, he can't. How the absolute did they manage to get a Lockheed AC-130 into the US without raising any eyebrows? The only way this is even remotely feasible is if it folds up into a George Jetson-style briefcase. Even then, you couldn't get that thing through the TSA. They lock you in a special room if you have too much shampoo. They'd probably shoot you on the spot if you had a heavily armed, long-endurance, ground-attack military plane in a briefcase.
Please join us. That's not protocol, sir. He's coming with us.
Would the president really let a foreign minister and his entourage into the most super-secret bowels of the underground bunker? One of these high-level security experts should tell him no 2 times instead of just once. Also, Kang's plan will only work if the president is being super nice / a super idiot and letting them into the bunker with him. The South Korean prime minister might be able to go with him, but his aide sure as hell wouldn't. I appreciate the sentiment, but this isn't Grand Theft Auto. You can't shoot an AC-130 down with a handgun. I'd also like to mention that this giant-ass plane that is shooting everyone in DC was able to make it past a Marine Air Base, 2 naval bases, 5 Air National Guard bases, and 5 Air Force bases with only 1 minor hiccup. Luckily, we have some Secret Service agents, the Washington, D.C. Police Department, and a Scottish actor to defend the nation's capital. Now, I'm no military expert, but even I find it hard to believe that DC doesn't have some secret laser missile that can read thoughts or some that would be able to take down this plane. Oh, also, where's the f***ing Air Force right now? Also, what I think just happened is the Korean plane just deflected those secret building bombs with a sparkler shield. More gratuitous location labeling. Why aren't they shooting? There has to be some idiot speaking in their earpieces saying, "Hold your fire," and they are all committed to their commander. I guess the White House anti-aircraft guns gave up after that one attempt failed. I'm starting to think that all the branches of the military are secretly working for the Koreans. Otherwise, there is no logical explanation why any branch of the military hasn't arrived yet. I see they sent the entire might of 1 U.S. plane to shoot down this Korean fighter. Traffic moves along normally during the worst attack the White House has ever seen. Okay, this is falling. Okay, wait, now it's falling. Okay, for real now, it's falling, but slowly, because the area where the Washington Monument resides has a slightly reduced gravitational pull. How in the mother are people still near this thing? Wouldn't they run for their lives when a giant-ass plane hit it earlier? All the DC residents in this movie have terrible timing when it comes to running away from things.
Coordinate with the Air Force and FAA. Find out if that's a lone aircraft.
Based on the way this has gone so far, I don't think either one of those organizations are going to know diddly shit.
Ruth, where the hell is my son?
Ruth there is the Secretary of Defense. She is not babysitter-in-chief, dude. I'm sorry, President, dude. It is beyond implausible any civilians would be in front of the White House right now. A side effect of being in the proximity of a bomb is bouncing away as if you're on a trampoline. The North Korean insurgents have access to RPGs and other high-powered weaponry, and the Secret Service seems to only have access to cork-pop pistols and guns that shoot little flags that say bang on them. Why is it that even with the hundreds of Secret Service agents fighting, Banning is the only one who has the wherewithal to hide behind something? There's already been hundreds of civilian casualties, but a dog? Come on, we already know they're evil. Further evidence that in this version of America, there is only one guy in the Secret Service who can actually shoot. Well, look who finally decided to show up. No, it's fine. Just mosey on in whenever you feel like it. Slow down, I can't tell who is betraying whom here. Well, that was a real gamble, shooting at the guy who was right in front of the president. It's good he was kind of chubby, or Kang could have eliminated his most valuable bargaining chip. Now, come on. What is it with these Korean terrorists' ability to obtain large modes of transportation without any problems? Clearly, all normal military protocols are being damned here, and the normal process of the theft of a commercial vehicle, like a dump truck, being immediately reported to police and probably the military, is completely ignored. Also, these trucks wouldn't be able to get this close to the White House. All these areas have been heavily blocked off for years by objects that an RPG wouldn't be able to flatten enough for a dump truck to drive over. Also, I feel like all the research I'm doing for this has put me on some terror watch lists with the NSA. That's great, guys. 35 miles an hour is perfect. Enjoy this nice day before saving America. It looks like these guys in suits with guns are just running out, single file, with no cover and shooting aimlessly. What's next? Is a group of 13-year-olds with super soakers going to take on the terrorists? I'm starting to think that on the other side of that door is the imaginary boyfriend machine from Inside Out. It's not even funny now. Why are they in front of the door? I'm starting to feel like Sweeney Todd. They all deserve to die. So far, all of this has been accomplished by only like 100 terrorists. But also, 100 terrorists? How do they all come in via China on fake passports? And the weaponry sourcing and the meticulous planning, this is insanely expensive. If North Korea isn't actually funding this, then who the hell is? Oh my god, it's the same guy it was before. Did no one teach them you have to pull the trigger for the gun to shoot? It's not like the alien gun from District 9. Thinking won't make it do anything.
Olympus has fallen.
Roll credits.
Olympus has fallen.
Roll credits.
Olympus has fallen.
Alright, roll credits. This is the most cinematic TV news has ever looked. Also, the military has done a basically non-existent job so far. So I guess it makes sense that this reporter is able to be this close to what is now a war zone.
The White House, the most protected building on Earth.
I'd like to see the source on that. This is actually one of the most subtle moments of the movie so far. Completely forgot about this kid. He is having a rough couple of years. This isn't the last time he types in a code like this. You would think that the military would change these codes every few months, but then you would be breaking the cardinal rule for watching this movie. Thinking, I understand that she's a person with a loved one in an emergency, but if I had just been a terrorist victim clinging to life, I would flip my if I saw a nurse on the phone in the hallway. I really don't think nurses would do that.
You sold this country out long before I ever did. Globalization and Wall Street. What's it cost to buy a presidency nowadays anyway?
His complaints about the president sound more like a sophomore from Vassar who is heavily invested in the Occupy movement than a former Secret Service agent committing treason. Why the hell would the bad guy even mention the president's kid's name? What does that even matter? Don't you have a picture? That's the second time some asshole has said this explicitly in the movie for no reason. Alright, overzealous location labeler, we know that it's the Oval Office. That's the only oval-shaped office in the world. The combination of this safe is the exact same as it was before Mike got fired for letting the president's wife die. Once again, Lincoln's head figures prominently in someone's death.
We can't just recall the 7th Fleet.
Trumbull Freeman is right. We can't just do that. It's a pretty involved operation that would probably take a few months. Also, the 7th Fleet is not just out patrolling the Korean peninsula all the time. They spend most of their time at the base on Yokosuka, which is near Tokyo. You know what? I think you get it. This is a ridiculous request. Kang gets the president to order this guy to give his code away, but I don't understand why he doesn't just threaten everyone's life for the remaining 2 codes as well, since he needs all 3. Sure, they're trying some hack behind the scenes, but why not expedite the process? These codes are only 7 digits? My electric company requires a minimum of 8 with a symbol. No wonder Olympus has fallen.
Give it to him, Joe.
A U.S. military admiral would never give a terrorist a code with this much importance, even if the president commanded him to. Also, how did this evil plan luck out and manage to get all 3 people who know these codes in the same room?
They're f***ing good. They're well-trained and they're well-organized.
It sounds like an extremely die-hard situation.
Well, whoever they are, they're f***ing good.
Or maybe you guys are f***ing bad.
Dad's gonna be fine.
Unkeepable promises. What is he counting for? He has no idea when they're going to start shooting, unless he can hear the future. How are none of these bullets hitting them? And he just blindly shot a guy through a wall.
Remember the chimney climb I taught you in the Rose Garden wall?
Oh, come on. You did not have the time to teach the president's kid anything about chimney climb. F*** you. Also, in case you were wondering, the president's kid's name is Connor.
Connor, wait up.
Why would he tell Connor to wait? Wouldn't it be better if he just got out of there instead of waiting for Banning to fight these guys? What if he gets killed? Yes, the movie would be over, which would be sweet relief to everyone. But they could just poke their head in that vent that seems to have no real purpose and see the kid trying to escape. Yeah, Banning has a knife and a gun, but this is better. It's almost like this movie really wanted Morgan Freeman to be the president. But that would have involved putting him in the hostage situation, and he wouldn't have been able to make this speech, and that was unacceptable. So they made him the House Speaker so that he could be acting president because, let's face it, Morgan Freeman is the acting president. I am still being forced to believe that one guy is slowly taking out a terrorist terrorist organization that basically killed the entire Secret Service. They had to throw in at least one Jack Bauer-style torture scene.
Sir, this is one of the most wanted terrorists in the world.
The government has facial recognition software that could easily identify this bad guy that was in the South Korean entourage, but apparently didn't find it useful enough during the vetting process.
Nobody ever thought to look for him inside the South Korean government.
That's because he had those glasses on at first. It's the perfect disguise. Terrorists don't wear glasses. One would assume that the walls in the president's super-secret bunker would be a little harder to penetrate.
You scared the out of me. Look at my hand. It's shaking.
What's with all this theater? Banning seems to trust him. He could just shoot him in the head, and that would be the end of it, but I understand we have to work in another fight scene. Jesus, we knew this movie was basically Die Hard at the White House, but this scene is almost note for note the Hans Gruber plays like he's a good guy scene, all the way down to smoking a cigarette. Well, that escalated slowly. A switchblade? Does this make the North Koreans the Sharks or the Jets? Also, flicking the cigarette was a great way to get the fight started fair, because it took away any element of surprise on Forbes' end.
I lost my way.
Oh, come on. Are they really pulling a Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker with Forbes? The difference here is Forbes has absolutely no real motivation for any of his actions throughout this whole movie.
How's my hair?
A person who was just beaten so savagely should be asking, how's my face and teeth and kidneys? But since she's a lady and all.
How the hell would they get that?
Doesn't matter. We'll take it out.
First of all, it does matter. Second of all, Jacobs keeps asking pretty valid questions and gets the answers. Koreans stole the American Hydra technology for this White House takeover. But it's absolutely amazing something like this wasn't on the White House, protecting it before the attack. I want to rename this movie If the Military Was a Colossal Show. What is happening on this screen right now? Galaga?
Abort! Abort!
Abort now? Why don't we just wait until everyone's dead to abort? Mike survives this. Why don't they just drop a bomb on the White House, let Morgan Freeman be president, and count that as a win?
I am ordering you to stand down.
Clegg thinks it's okay to just completely violate chain of command in front of an acting president.
If I didn't absolutely need you, I would relieve you right now.
Does he absolutely need him? He's been pretty useless so far.
I will not let this asshole
I don't want to hear another word.
Movie generals are always about 2 deaths away from a coup and declaring themselves in charge.
We're recalling the 7th Fleet.
Which we discussed earlier is impossible. That is not the angle in which Mike is being broadcast.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Okay, 2 sins for this. 1 for this just being absolutely ridiculous, and 2 for the Pledge of Allegiance just generally being a strange thing. Why are we pledging allegiance to the flag? And why are we doing it at really strange times, like when we're being dragged to your execution, or before first period? How are these news cameras able to get close enough to capture this footage? And why are the people in the Pentagon watching it on the news? Someone really needs to teach these people how to military. It's just sad now. This asshole takes forever to shoot McMillan, and he knows Mike is wandering around somewhere. Banning still has excellent aim even when he's not looking.
Mike?
Hey.
He was able to hear Trumbull even though he didn't have the earpiece in.
In the Middle East, response to the attack on the White House is jubilant.
Too dangerous to pick one particular country, so just the generalized Middle East will do. This guy driving that tank is really taking the order to withdraw to a cartoonish level. I'm impressed that they were able to make it out of the White House and onto the North Lawn without anyone tripping.
I'm sorry to report the president was on that helicopter.
How do you know? Because you saw it on the news?
It doesn't make sense.
Which part? The renegade North Korean terrorists who took down the presidency with 1 plane, 100 people, a couple vans, bombs, and guns, or all the rest of it? I'd say both.
Kang would not go out like that, sir. That's not who he is.
The hero has insight into the villain he's never met cliché.
Your country will be a cold, dark, nuclear wasteland.
Correction, the world will be a cold, dark nuclear wasteland. Setting off basically all the nuclear warheads in the US, which is the overwhelming majority of nuclear warheads, would be a huge loss for anyone planning to live on Earth. Somewhere in some government IT room, a person got to design a nuclear countdown clock, and that's the font he went with.
Time to go, Mr. President.
Why leave? That bunker is probably the safest place to be when all those nukes go off. This asshole picks the perfect time to get in the elevator and make it down here right when Kang is leaving. This movie has more bullet wounds than I can count, but it is also one of the stabbiest action films ever. James Bond has conditioned me to want to root for the handsome guy in nice clothes, so this is a very confusing fight. Not sure how he's going to skull stab his way out of this one. Maybe he should think of codes as knives and an active nuclear countdown as his skull?
Find a control panel marked countermand.
Then go to Preferences and select Default Media Browser. So the deactivation code is in the Pentagon, but the only computer that can turn off all the nuclear bombs is in the bunker. That seems smart. After Mike told everybody Kang was dead and the president was hurt, how are there not tons of military and medical personnel rushing through the White House right now? Also, not only does the president survive this, but he is able to sort of walk out of the building, even with the bullet wound in his gut and the significant loss of blood.
It was first purchased by your great-grandfather during the First World War.
Work, 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 work. Hello, boys. Have a good night's rest. I missed you.
We're gonna roll it.
What do you mean, roll it?
Ready? Here we go.
No! No! No, not me! Why are you coming for me? Rachel! Rachel!
Mary, get me some coffee.
Well, think me up a cup of coffee and a chocolate donut with some of those little sprinkles on top. Where you going with your thinking?
Agent Banning. Or should I call you Mr. McLean? Mr. Officer John McLean of the New York Police Department.
If I didn't absolutely need you, I would relieve you right now.
I will not let this asshole...
You know, I don't...
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
The night is darkest just before the dawn. And I promise you, the dawn is coming. One day, the Batman will have to answer for the laws he's broken. But to us, not to this madman.